So as you know, this Sony FX1 was one of the first prosumer cameras that came out, and of course it doesn't have your XLR output, but you know, you could use like a beach tag adapter or whatever for the XLR adapters. This is really a durable system. I really love this system, and I really wanted to keep the longevity of the camera. And one way was to, instead of using the DV tape to record on, you can still get those, but they're pretty pricey. Three of them, I think was almost like $30 or $50 like that. But I did find a solution, and that solution was FS H200 from DT Technology or Focus. And what this does is record via FireWire, and you would record by connecting it to the FireWire port. Okay, and then you know, I would just like use a strap or something and attach it somehow. Basically, I kept it like there, like that, with a strap, and it does record in a QuickTime mode, I believe. However, I did find that it's not the best solution. Like I said, the ZX1, the Pro version of this camera, they did have a recorder that you could purchase as well as XLR. This one did. We got this, and it does a great job, and it uses a compact flash. But the menu setting and everything, it's crazy. It's you gotta work with it. You gotta figure out how to use it. I am able to use it. However, the cons of using this is that you need to convert the file, at least for what I'm doing, because it doesn't seem to save it in a format that it recognizes. So I've had to like find a converter that'll convert the MPEG files that this generates into something that the Adobe Premiere could actually read and edit with. So pros, digital recording, and it's so much better once you have it converted, because you can like work through it. Cons, you're converting still, so it's the same as just using a tape, but at least you don't have to use tape anymore. That's nowadays, because it's going away. I did find another solution that I'm going to be looking at, which is actually, I've been looking for a component kit, and I saw one on Amazon that I'm going to try. Of course, I'm going to need a different system that'll actually record to an HDMI cable instead of the FireWire or composite, because this is composite here. But would I tell you to get this now? Probably not, because it's very hard, and the battery, it's proprietary. It's not like you can actually get more, and it's really a weird way of them having created this. I don't have to worry about it once it snaps in, but press the lever and shake it out so it opens and drops it. And you get two, but once those batteries are gone, I won't be able to use that anymore, I don't think. Jug shuttle, kind of like the iPad idea, iPod. But like I said, the menu system, it's chaotic. You know, once you get the hang of it, you can get it working. But sometimes you forget the settings, and the quality settings are bad. So you got to make sure you have everything done correctly and just perfect. Because when you're looking at it, it looks okay on this screen and everything, but then when you're editing on the computer, it's like a minuscule file, and it's just like a little preview that it's captured, not the actual content. So you got to watch out. But that composite, if I get the composite kit that I'm talking about, it's little, it's miniature, it doesn't require additional power that I believe, or at least a USB, which I can use a portable USB power bank, and it'll actually display out to an HDMI. So if I actually decide to get like a HD recorder, like a Atmos Ninja or whatever, that'll work perfectly with this, and I'll be able to use it, although this is 1080, not 4K. I really love this system. 1080 is still fine. You know, most people still view a lot of 1080 content, so I don't see this going away for at least another decade, hopefully. Huh? Okay. Length control, DC, and I forgot what that is. Compact flash.
The Sony HDR FX1E is a semi-professional camera. It has one internal microphone, a LCD viewer, a holder and a normal viewer. You also have a lens hood, and at the back of the camera you can open the lens. Two rings are there for managing the focus and the focal distance. There are also several settings for controlling the picture and the cassette compartment. For inserting a cassette, press open eject and be careful when you close the compartment. Do it where the arrow is. Finally, you have the settings for audio. At the back of the camera, you have the battery and a connection where you can charge it. The controllers for zebra and peaking, and the menu settings. You can see that in the right there are some buttons. If you hold the green button and turn up the switch at the same time, you will go to the VCR mode, where you can check and view what you have already recorded. When you press the button the same way but switch it down, you will go to the camera mode. In this position you are able to record. Finally, if you turn the power button to the middle, the camera will switch off. The red button next to the green one is the rec button. When you press the button while in the camera mode, you will record. On the other side of the camera, you can find another grip to hold the camera, the power zoom lever and some cable connections. Finally, on the top of the camera, with the LCD viewer opened, you can see different buttons. These buttons are mainly for the VCR mode. You have the player control to check what you have recorded, settings to check the volume of the video, the LCD brightness control and the backlight function for the LCD. At the bottom you have the display information button and the bars button. You can also see another zoom remote and another rec button. This button has also the option to hold the rec button. Audio is also important when you are recording. The camera has one internal microphone incorporated on the top of the camera. If you want to use an external one, you just need to connect the alternative microphone to the audio jack. To change the settings of audio levels, just open the cover and switch to man on the Auto Man button, and the audio level will appear on your LCD viewer. Then you can adjust the volume by turning the audio level dial. To restore automatic adjustment, just switch to auto. Using the audio set menu, you can change the bitrate of the audio signal, but have in mind you cannot change this option if you are recording in HDV. For windy situations, you have an option to reduce the noise caused by wind. Finally, if you have the X-Mic option selected, it means that your audio signal is provided by a microphone that is connected in the mic line jack. If you have an audio device connected that provides a line level audio signal, choose the option line. You can also see the audio levels on the LCD viewer just pressing status check. In the image you can see the audio signal jack, and if you open the cover behind, you will find the audio jack for external microphone. It is helpful to use headphones while recording to listen to the audio to always check for problems. The settings. Iris. Check that the button is in the middle, just press the iris button and finally use the iris dial to manage it. Gain. Put the button in the middle, press gain button, and then manage the three different options: L 0 dB, M 9 dB and H 18 dB. You can change these three different gain levels in the camera menu. Shutter speed. Make sure that you have the auto lock button in the middle and then press the shutter speed button. At the back of the camera you have a selector to change the number of the shutter speed. The speed is between 1/3 and 1/1000th of a second. White balance. Be sure you have the auto lock button in the middle, then just press the white balance button. You have three positions for white balance: memory banks A and B, where you can set up and save two settings separately. To save a white balance preset you have to press white balance, and have the button in the A or B position. The third one is a preset button that is a default value that you can change in the camera menu. ND filters. Just switch to the respective positions to have one or the other. The filter 1 reduces the volume of light to about 1/6, and the filter 2 reduces the volume of light about 1/32 of normal exposure. Focus. You have also two different possibilities to adjust the focus. One is automatically and the other is manual. Just switch the button to one of these positions. For manual position, just use the focus ring to adjust it. If you are in a manual focus and you need some help to have the correct focus, just press push auto and you will have an automatic one. Infinity is useful when you are recording a distant subject. When a close subject is focused, using automatic focusing. Assignments. Depending on your necessities, you can assign different functions in these three buttons. You need to go to the menu settings to memorize them. Backlight and spotlight. If you have problems with your subject because it has its back to the sun or other lights, you can adjust the exposure to prevent the subject from becoming shadowed by just pressing the backlight button. When the subject is lit by a strong light, such as in a theater, use the spotlight function to prevent people's faces from appearing excessively white. Rec Preview. To check what you have just recorded on the camera without turning on the VCR mode, you can see the last seconds of your recording just pressing the Rec Preview button. Zoom. To work in a remote way, just switch the button to lever remote and then you can use the power zoom lever and the handle zoom lever. You can press the expand zoom button to have more zoom. It's not recommended to use this feature because it's just a digital zoom that distorts the image. For a manual zoom, just switch to ring and then use the ring lens to control it.
Hey, I'm Shane. I'm going to give you a little breakdown video on my digital recorder, the FS5 for the VX, and kind of show you the ins and outs of it. First things first, definitely get a USB-A to USB-A cable. That's how you're going to log the footage from it. I definitely recommend finding one on Amazon because there's other USB-A cables that come with kind of like a weird program built into it. I've seen some that have like, they're really thicker. There's like some sort of program that's built into it, but they won't work with this. Just find a completely basic to basic USB-A, and that's how you'll log your footage on it. Log your clips, plug in that guy, you'll hit F3. And it's gonna kind of like think for a minute. The more footage you have on here, the more it's gonna be thinking. And eventually it'll pop up on your hard drive. I mean, on your desktop as a hard drive. It'll just pop up as like some random number right here. And then you're gonna go down to the examples for the FCP right here. And that's where your files will be in this folder right here. And you can delete them off here into the trash bin, or you can just format that once you're done logging all the clips. But what I definitely do is I'll drag all the clips onto my desktop, just take every single clip, and then I'll filter through that folder in case I miss a clip. But also I've noticed that you get to the first spot of the day, film the whole session, and you turn it off. And then once you get to the next spot and you turn it back on and start filming again, the files are all gonna be random. That's kind of the downside, is that the files aren't gonna be like organized. Everything's gonna be mixed up. The more you turn it on and off, it kind of reboots it. Drag all the files, and you kind of have to filter through every single one to find the makes. But what I do is I still mark it after a make. I'll still mark it with my hand. And then when I'm going through all the files, I'll just be like skimming through it really quickly. And if I see my hand, then I know that one's a make. That way I don't have to sit there and watch every single clip every single time. That's kind of my tactic I've been running right now, but maybe there might be a better one down the road. First, eject out of the desktop, and then you'll hit F4. And then I'll eject that guy, and you're all good to go. You can also playback footage on here, but the quality is gonna be really bad. So also what you can do is after the homie landed the clip, you can just put it, you can go to playback on the VX. And then you press play here, and it will play the last clip, so you can watch the last clip filmed. And the quality through the viewfinder is going to be way better than the quality on this thing. It's all pretty like low pixels and stuff. So I'd recommend that for the playback if you want to watch the last clip that was filmed. Exactly, yeah. No more CapCam, no more tapes. I mean, tapes are what, like 12 bucks a tape now or something they're going for. This is definitely going to be saving some money. I got this one off eBay for around 300 bucks, and I definitely think the secret is to find a non-skateboarder who's selling one of these, because I know there's a big marketplace for this now, or a lot of those VX like reseller accounts seem to be buying a lot of these and then doubling the price, which, you know, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. But definitely, if you can, find a non-skateboarder. That way you're gonna save some money on these, because these are pretty old tech. These have been around for a minute. Once you turn it on and everything, film in raw DV. Don't film in MOV. The audio is gonna be different. When you film in MOV, the audio just sounds like crunching. It doesn't. You can't even tell. It's just complete garbage. And then, I mean, if you want, I use MPEG Stream Clip to convert. I just usually convert it all to MOV files, anyways, from DV, because I've noticed that when you film in DV, it doesn't actually date the file. So I like to have my files kind of dated. So when I convert it, when I log the footage that day, and I'll convert it to MOVs, you know, like the actual, I can actually date like my files and everything, so I know if I need to look back for whatever. For the batteries, you hold down this guy and they kind of fall out, but they don't really fall out. So I kind of taped all my batteries so I can actually have a tag to pull on to get them out easier, because it's an internal hard drive. So I don't want to like just keep banging on it to like knock out the batteries. I would definitely recommend buying a couple extra ones. I bought 2 more off eBay, found some guy that was selling them, and I just kind of tagged the rest, all of them, just to have little tags to pull in and out of. Usually so far, what I've been using, a battery will last me a full day, but sometimes maybe 2 batteries a day. So not too bad. All you got to do is record and then press stop to stop recording. And this is about like 100 gig hard drive, so I mean it's like what, over 7 hours or something. I don't know, you're chilling on time wise for footage, that's for sure. How I put mine on the VX, I just bought like some 15-pound tested Velcro, and I just did that. And so far that's been pretty decent. I've been filming with it a lot now and it has not fallen off. Or even, I mean, you can even buy more like powerful Velcro if you want to make it really secure. Got it on there, so you can still open the tape deck if you still want to film tape. So I kind of did one here and one here and just kind of mashed it up, so that way you can still use the tape deck if you want to. And then for the Firewire cable, I've seen some people kind of do, like they'll mount it the other way around, vice versa. But I found this little guy on eBay for like $8, and I definitely recommend this guy. It seems to be a little more flexible and kind of keeps it a little more compact. I would definitely recommend trying to keep your cables always plugged in, because the more you're going to unplug your Firewire, you know, like the more you might wear out the port. I mean, that's going to be a headache once you wear that out. So try to keep everything like plugged in and mounted, and kind of modify your camera bag to like be able to fit the whole setup in and out, so there's not much pressure being pushed on any of the ports or anything. The only problems I noticed once was when Tarv had bonked the camera and this got loose a little bit and then it was glitching a little bit. Double check and just kind of periodically like make sure everything's plugged in, because if even if it's like halfway plugged in, you know, footage will start actually glitching on this thing. So just kind of make sure your ports are all plugged in nice and tight every time. And then for the settings and everything, right, there's like this wheel's kind of spinning and you can just click right on it and then get to all the other options and things. There's a couple different pages to cycle through, operations and setup and functions. And you can set the different functions for 1, 2, and 3 on these apps right here, what you want them to do. And then on utilities, you can go to format, and that's how you can format the card if you want to format it. I haven't really experimented too much, but maybe even turning down your LCD brightness, you know, might be able to conserve some battery as well. Might want to keep that in mind too. And then just go back on left to get back to the main screen. And then you'll see raw DV, what you're filming in right now too. Recording setups, record formats right there. And then this is just the center buttons, like the enter button. And you can just do DV or HDV, and the DT format. Run the raw DV for now. Realistically, the quality versus here onto the computer is exactly the same as if you're filming on a mini DV tape. So far I've noticed no audio difference or no video quality. Everything's been the exact same. I've done a couple tests where I filmed the clip on the tape and then filmed the clip with this guy, and then I compared the two and they were both the same, and I can link them up in this video right now as well. So yeah, and then even when you do your custom color settings, everything with the sharpness and the color level, everything will reflect back onto here. So pretty much anything the VX is doing, it will record exactly the same onto this guy. Also, I've noticed the VX battery is going to last a lot longer because it doesn't need to power the turning the heads every time you're filming and stopping and going on the recording onto the mini DV tape. So your battery life's going to last longer on the VX too as well, since the camera doesn't have to work as hard as it normally would. If you're not, I definitely recommend using a Tadashi filter. I don't know how people don't use these, especially with, even if you have like an extreme fisheye too, even if you're filming HD, like it's kind of crazy if you don't have one for your MK1 or this. You might low-key be a psychopath maybe, just because the way these things are so rare, and your Mark one is, it's like I couldn't even take the risk now, like of it getting scratched. So yeah, I would highly recommend buying these. They're like $30. It's definitely well worth the money for sure. One thing I was kind of nervous about too is adding the weight to the side of the camera. Like I didn't know if that was gonna cause I'm not used to like the the balance of the camera, but realistically it's not that much weight and it's pretty mellow. And especially if you go do the Velcro route, you're gonna like have less weight than doing the rigs from down here, you know, that a lot of people will do. This definitely lightens it up even more. And I mean, if realistically, if you're used to even filming with the HPX and the extreme, I mean, like this is still gonna be so much more lighter, so I wouldn't even stress it if you're worried about extra weight or anything. And same with just like the VX when you're done for the day or anything, you know, to keep the battery out so the battery doesn't drain while you're leaving the camera in there all overnight or anything. And same with this guy, take the battery out once you're done for the day. So when I mounted this guy, you know, I did the Velcro on the sides where you can still utilize the tape deck if you take this off to still record on tape if you need to. But I tried to place it where I could still access, like, you know, the wheels and everything, where I can still touch and stuff, and like the exposure wheel, so it's still kind of visible. You can still kind of mess with that stuff. So try to place it where you're not really going to be covering too much, where you can still get in and utilize some of the, you know, the buttons on the VX and everything. Keep that in mind. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all the ins and outs of this guy. If anyone else is out there and using it as well, and they got any other tips or whatever, I guess comment below or something. Keep adding in the info, keep us updated. But so far I'm pretty hyped on this thing. I would definitely recommend getting one if you're going to keep using the VX.